50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah.
Now, it's a big jump from Mr. Spectre to becoming Mr. Grey. How did that transition happen? Was that accident again, or what exactly occurred?
That wouldn't have happened without the fall. I mean, nothing that happens in the rest of my career that is positive doesn't happen without the fall. I think the only reason I was in a conversation for that part was because of the fall. They wanted someone relatively unknown, which I was. Yeah, and it was just one of those things. And I was very much in the conversation before it, and then they cast someone else quite famously, and then he pulled out of it or whatever happened there, and then it was sort of open again, and then it was mine. And it all happened very quickly, and I only got cast 4 weeks before we started filming.
Well, when you signed on that dotted line to play the lead role, Mr. Grey, did you know just the fallout, the potential fallout, the tsunami of change that was going to take place in your life?
Yeah. Well, it's hard to answer because, over 100 million people have read the books. The movies were going to make an impact. You knew they were going to make a big impact, and you knew they were going to be, received in very controversial terms, and you're going to have fans of the book who only want good things for the film and want them to be good and want to embrace it. And then you're going to have a lot of people who are very critical of not only the content of the films, but also just the way they're made and the sort of, there's people have a real snobbery about those books and the way they're written and the style of writing and everything. So I was, acutely aware of that. I hadn't read the books before, I got the part, but you couldn't not know about them. You couldn't not know they're a huge phenomenon. So, I had an idea that it was going to make a splash, but I guess the biggest thing in my head at that moment was that Millie was 36 weeks pregnant when I got that part. So actually all I was really thinking about was the health and welfare of my wife and the baby inside her, and getting to Canada safely where we were filming the movies and having a healthy baby and everyone being good. That, to be honest, I mean, you know yourself, with 3 kids, it's that's where your head's at.
Well, of course, the fallout from it has been immense. Once I announced on radio here that you were going to be my guest for this series, I was getting messages from all over the world in French and Spanish. I think Greek popped up as well. Such was the impact, the impatience that obtained out there. When is the interview taking place? Where is it taking place? Are you holding him back? What's going on?
Yeah.
What is it like for you coping with that out there?
I'm not aware of it because...
How would you not be aware of it?
Because I'm not on social media. So I honestly just don't, and that's a decision. I used to be, as you know, you were the first person I ever followed when I was on Twitter. But I made a choice to not be involved in it anymore, and my whole thing was, there's a lot about all that you're talking about, and all that attention and scrutiny and opinion that I don't think is that healthy to be aware of, especially when it concerns your family at times and your daughters, and sometimes by being on there you're open to that and you can see that. So I think my thing was just build a wall, take down all of that, and don't let people in, because if that's how people behave, I don't really want to be supporting it.
So are you anti-social media?
I'm not anti it. I understand why it works for certain people, and I think it's necessary in many forms, and for news outlet I think it's great, and some of the content's brilliant, and it's probably done very good things for a lot of people. It's a personal thing for everyone. For me, I got to a point where I was like, I've a million reasons why now this isn't right for me.
What do you make of Donald Trump's habitual tweeting, allegedly spending several hours each morning instead of reading documents and papers? What about that? What do you think of that?
I think he'd probably be using his time slightly better, is what I think. I've got lots of opinions on Donald Trump that we probably shouldn't get into.
Let's hear them. Let's hear them.
It's not the right platform.
Are you likely to play golf with them?
Possibly not.
If he invited you to play golf, would you play with him?
That's the thing. It's very hard. I mean, you know, Rory had this issue, and I was speaking to
Rory McIlroy.
Rory McIlroy. You're put in quite a tricky situation there when you know, the leader of the free world comes and asks you if you want to play a game of golf, and if you just say that it's just a game of golf and you don't attach anything else to it, and political views and all of that, then it is just a game of golf, and where's the harm in that? And but then everything gets so blown up now, and social media is part of that, definitely. So,
would you have the strength of character to say no?
I don't think he's going to ask me, so I think I'm all right.
Presumably he did ask you.
I honestly don't know. I think it'd be really interesting to play around the golf with him. You know, I don't think there's one policy that he has that I'm in any form of agreement with, but it would certainly be interesting. That doesn't mean it wouldn't be an interesting person to play around the golf with. When
it came to playing Mr. Grey and all that time, did you have any reservations at all, allowing yourself to enter into that world of raunchy sexual environment and that type of thing? Did you think twice about that? Did you have second thoughts? Did you reflect on family attitudes and everything when you were confronted with this challenge?
Mm-hmm. No.
Why was that?
Not at all. Because, you know, my dad's one of the most liberal people I've ever met. And, you know, my whole defence of 50 Shades is that it's consensual. And by the way, like S&M, that type of sex, whatever, it's not for everyone. It's not for me personally, but lots of people enjoy it, and it exists. We haven't made it up. We're not forcing it down people's throat. It exists. It's a real thing, and lots of people love it, and we're just, you know, portraying that. And so I think it's harmless, to be honest.
How does your wife Millie cope with all the waves of temptation out there for you? How does she keep her head sane with all this attention, this adulation that you receive?
I think we've made life choices that protect us from a lot of what you're saying. We've made a choice to live in the countryside, kind of in the middle of nowhere, and that's where we want to raise our kids. Neither of us are on social media. I think you can. It's a funny thing with fame or you know, attention or whatever, you know, public attention, whatever you want to call it. I think you can make it worse for yourself if you choose to, and you can peacock a little bit, and you can be seen at this place and that place and make sure you're at this event and live in this part of town and be on social media and follow these kind of people and tweet this kind of thing and again, like, I'm not, like, you know, if that's the way you want to be, fine. But as I say, I've made a choice for my family, and collectively, Millie and I have made a choice that isn't how we want to be. So I think we protect ourselves from it a bit. And I know Millie has not seen any of the movies. I doubt she ever will. We sort of joke about watching them in our sort of 80s.
Why would your wife not look at you in playing one of the highest profile roles in the world?
There's plenty of sex in those movies. I just don't know why you'd want to watch your husband simulate sex with someone else for, you know, 40 minutes out of an hour and a half movie. I just, you know, yeah, I mean, she's so supportive about the whole thing. She's been with me the entire time we've been shooting them. She comes to set on certain days when we're not doing certain scenes. Her and Dakota have an amazing relationship. They're very close, and you know, so it supports in every way. Comes to the premiere. I don't watch the movie at the premiere. You know, I always have to go off and do press or something anyway, and I've usually seen it by that point. So it just has served her not to watch them.